Good morning. My name's Rolly Worsfold. I'm sitting here in the Rafters Lounge at the Red Resort, and I'm in the honored company of Ira McAulay and Bill Cheveldave, and I got Louie Corrado here too. And it's, I believe the date today is March 3rd, and it's 2014. Morning, Louie. Now, you tell me that between Ira and Bill, there's someone here that wasn't born in Rossland?
I wasn't born in Rossland.
And
I was born in Castlegar.
You were born in Castlegar. Do these guys hold that against you?
No.
Okay, they don't, eh? When you first started skiing here, what year was it? What was going on back then? Ira?
Well, I started when I was 12 years old. I don't know what the year was, but at that time Rossland had a club cabin on the other side of the reservoir or across from Block Motel, and the trail had a club cabin on the old road into the new lift. I believe that's all that's standing there now is just a chimney.
Yeah, you can see it when you're driving along.
When you drive along.
It's at the Block Motel.
Okay. Now, did you guys ski together then?
I doubt it.
I doubt it. I think we were at loggerheads like Trail of Nelson was, you know.
Okay. Was there a difference? Can you explain the difference in the clubs, Louis?
Well,
We were just young fellas.
most of us.
We just followed the older fellas that were in the club. And the group that was in Rossland and the group that was in Trail, they wanted to have their own clubs. And therefore they didn't get along too well.
Okay.
So that stayed on right up till they built the new ski lift, the Red. Then they came together.
Okay. Now, were there competitions between the two clubs?
Well, no, I think the only thing competition was the Grey Mountain Grind. That was a competition. There was Rossland men in that, and trail fellas skiing in that too. That was from the top of Grey Mountain down into Rossland.
That's right. And from what I understand, Louis, you raced it in the last year.
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
Were you around to witness?
No, I never did race it.
Okay. Can you tell us how that race went and what year that might have been?
That was 1946. I come out of the Army. That was the last year. It's usually in the spring of the year. I don't remember the exact date. You'd have to hike up that day to the top of Grey
From?
from Rossland, downtown Rossland. You left Rossland early in the morning and you hiked up to the top of Grey. When all the contestants were there, they started the race from the top of Grey. You went down Grey as up by the Yodel Inn was at the top lodge. Then you come down Long Squaw, which the first stop was a turnkey rock. And there, those days, there was no trees. They were all burnt out. There was some, but in Long Squaw, there was some huge trees standing there. From the turnkey rock, you went over to where Short Squaw is. That's where this Squaw Basin Trail used to go over there, not straight ahead.
Okay.
And it used to go across the slide, what we call the slides. And you come right down past, is it Turkey Alley?
Turkey Alley?
Turkey Alley, and then turn on Easy Street. Now in those days, the trail was very narrow and very fast. But every 200 or 300 feet, they'd have a runoff like you do on the highway.
Oh, right.
To
A
catch your
runaway
speed.
lane.
Runaway. Then you come back and go down. Okay, you go right down to Indian Flats. And where the old granite lift was, remember the big gully, the low gully there?
Mm-hmm.
The first one.
Yeah, that's right. There used to be a cabin in there.
It used to go right down there, then cut over onto Indian Flats.
Okay.
From Indian Flats, it went down over the top of the T-bar to about Tower 5. Then at Tower 5, there's a trail that goes down. You've seen that probably on the
The mountain
The
bike
south
trail?
side of Mike Schultz's.
That's right. There's a trail
Okay,
there.
There's
now.
a trail.
Yeah.
That's where you came down. You skied down and went over the reservoir on the right-hand side.
Okay.
And you skied right onto Spokane Street, the railway bed, Spokane Street, and it ended up at the Shell station, which is on Columbia Avenue, below Spokane Street.
Now, when you raced, do you remember any of the times that people got? I know in the record books they're in there. It was incredible.
A little antidote of my race was my equipment wasn't very good, and I lost my ski coming off grade, but I did put on my ski and finish the race.
Okay.
But the times, there are, I'm sure you have records of that.
Yeah.
I think Len Camosi won that race.
That's right. Okay.
Yes.
And 46. That would have
Yeah,
been 46.
That's
Okay.
right. The last one.
Okay. And how many contestants that year, ballpark? Do you remember? Like 20 or
I'm only guessing. I'd say 35.
35? So
Yeah.
it was a big event.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now the skis that you used to go up there, I know were you putting sealskin or using wax?
I never used skis.
Couldn't afford it.
You couldn't afford it.
We were
yeah.
poor. I never
So it was total wax. You guys are
total wax.
okay.
And probably paraffin.
Okay, probably paraffin.
Yes,
Wow.
I still use that.
Ira?
Sometimes you used a clister wax and put it on gobs, you know, and climb that way. And then when you got the top, you either scraped it off or rubbed it down.
Yeah,
downhill.
you can still buy clister, right?
Yeah.
And for those wet conditions too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. No, the fire you were talking about on Gray, had been there years before you guys were skiing up there. It was,
Well, back in those days, and Bill can verify this and that, that we had a lot of forest fires that were started all over the area. And actually, there wasn't many trees in Paradise. They were all burnt out.
okay.
Yeah.
So it made for some good skiing. Now we have to look for the logging, right? Now, but you guys had the Mother Nature's natural fires.
What we skied on a lot was that hoarfrost.
Oh, how nice.
You go up in the spring, you remember, Ira?
Yeah.
And you could ski on top of hard crust with the hoarfrost.
That's as good as it gets, except for powder, right? Just that the feathers on top of a hard base.
And when we weren't racing, we used to go up on the ridge, Record Ridge, and ski down towards Old Glory.
Right.
And we'd maybe do that twice
Okay.
before we skied down.
Okay.
Or we'd go up Gray and have a couple runs in Gray before we ski down.
Now, which cabins? I know I'm going to be asking you some questions about the Weather Boys up on Old Glory, but they used the Yodel Inn sometimes on the way across. Did you guys use some cabins up top too?
Well, I never stayed up on top overnight, but I have been in Yodel with the fellas, and at that time there was Gil Page, Sammy Martin, Wendy Williams. In fact, his son
We know Wake, yeah.
is still using the cabin.
That's right, so it's a family tradition.
Now, the other cabin...
That was basically a trail.
Yeah, those were...
Yeah.
Yeah, they were general roll people,
Mm-hmm.
most of them. The other cabin was Tadneck people, you know, mostly staff. Stiles, Willis, I forget the other names. But anyhow, that was the Clister Club.
The Clister Club, yeah.
Now, I think it's... And Tim Stanley.
Right.
And I think that's private property.
It is. It's one of the only pieces out there that is. Yeah.
And Tim Stanley owned it, I think, and the son took it over. I don't know whether he still has that property or whether it's sold to the fellas.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but there's a Rossland Club cabin up there, and well, I remember two anyhow.
The Rossland Club one burnt down, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, a few years back. And then there's the...
In the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's right. I remember seeing it smolder one morning when we were skiing by. Sad day. Now, when you guys came back, now you were in the service prior to 46, and you came back, and the clubs, there must have been talk at that time about them building the red chair with the boys, Jack and those guys.
Yeah. Well, Ed Stiles was the big push.
Yeah, Ed Stiles was the big push too.
Yeah. And
And
all,
that started in
Mitchell.
47.
Ernie
Jack Mitchell was
too.
in
Jack
that
Mitchell.
too. Yeah.
Ernie Mason.
And
Newt Robinson.
Yeah.
And how did that project go along real well? Or was it real
that-
well organized?
The towers in that lift were all wood,
That's right.
and the drives came from a mine. Now I couldn't tell you what mine, but the drive was on top, not on the bottom.
Right. Okay, that's right.
And when the lift would go backwards and would run out of control, the operator at the bottom would take a 4x4 or 6x6 and shove it in the bowl gear, and that was the brake.
I hear they still do that on Gray.
Oh, is that right? Well, I haven't heard.
Oh, just teasing, right?
Yeah.
No, that's good.
But that
But I was lucky enough myself. My first job when I came here as a 19-year-old in '73 was tearing down that lift and helping build the new red.
74, yeah.
Well, it was '73 in the fall
Yeah.
when I first came and did that. I was a kid from Ontario. Now, during this, when you came back from the war, and they were building a lift, and it was, I believe, 1948. They built the weather station up on Old Glory.
Not 48. Not 48.
Wasn't 48. That's good.
No. In 1944, in December, they built the weather station up there. They've been building it for a few years.
Okay.
And a friend of mine, Dick Marcuzzi, which you remember,
Yes.
and I, we were young kids in the Rossland Club, and we had lousy equipment. We said, let's be the first to go to Old Glory and visit these fellas, the weather station, this 4 men. So early in December, Dick and I left at 4 in the morning from Rossland, and we hiked up Squaw Basin, up the top of Gray, over towards Kirkup on the ridge, and we could see the water hole down below Old Glory. We skied down there, and we got to the bottom. And at first, we thought we would go straight up, but if you know that area, you'll see how steep it is.
It is steep.
We
I've been up there.
So this is all in the same day. So we skied south to the south part of the island, but we skied up on an angle. And we come up the back face, which is a gentle face.
It's gentler.
It's gentle. in the
Still
back.
work.
Yeah.
That's where the horses go up.
Now I want to tell you, we did that all in one day.
Wow.
Yes, with poor equipment. The poles were practically over our head, and big
Baskets.
baskets.
So you used a lot of upper body to push too with the baskets.
I was at that time 143 pounds.
Now, what did you do in the summer, Louie, to keep in that kind of shape? I mean, you can't just go climb up a mountain without being in shape. Did you guys hike a lot? Now, you were a ball player too, right?
No, the ball came after that.
It came after that.
But I was a good ball player. I played hockey, and we us kids didn't sit in the house. We made our own fun. We had slingshots, marbles, guns. We did all we did was play, school play, and
Eat.
eat.
Hey, could it have been as much fun as Facebook?
But on finishing that day, we left that day and we got to Old Glory. Dick and I were up there, and they were really happy to see us. But the funny part about it was during the war, and they had rationing, so we had things that nobody else ever had. Chocolate bars, ham, bacon, the whole thing. But we got fogged in for 12 days.
Oh yeah, I think you probably stayed up because of the good food.
Probably. We were there 12 days, and on the 12th day, the sun came out, just like the day when we went up there. And we actually skied all the way back in that same day.
So a beautiful day to come out.
But I had no sooner gotten Rossland, the next day I went into the Canadian Army.
Oh, it was the next day. Wow.
That was
Well, at least you ended up with some
that was in
fun.
1944.
In 44. Did you go overseas?
No, I was the youngest veteran in the war.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was, okay.
I was fully trained for Europe and South Pacific, but we had VE Day and VJ Day.
So what was Rossland like for you guys in the winter besides skiing? There must have been lots of social stuff going on too, right? Social clubs, dances, and stuff like that. I heard that Cookie Lecluse was quite the dancer and a band guy and stuff like that. So there was a place called the Rossland Club too, wasn't there?
The Rossland Club was above upstairs where the Eagles is right now.
Yeah.
And it was a private men's club, usually teachers or engineers or something. Not just anybody could belong to it. And they played poker and would go up and have their drinks.
Yeah, and it burned down, I believe, too.
No, it had a fire in it. It didn't burn down.
Oh, okay.
No, it's standing still there.
Okay, so it just
The Eagles is
but
still
that's
there.
the fire shut it down, I believe, yeah, or something like. I'm reading in the old
Was
records.
that Marie's?
Marie's
clothing
millinery.
store.
Millinery, they
Yeah.
called it.
That was down.
You went up the stairs on the right-hand side, and the Rossland Club was upstairs.
Okay. No, you guys, did you go to the same school or?
At that time, yes.
Okay. You guys were in the same school. Okay.
The McLean School.
Okay.
Well, I had moved to Rossland in 1936.
Okay. And you came, Bill. You came from Nova Scotia.
No,
No. I
you
did.
No,
From
Ira came from.
Castlegar.
You came from Castlegar. So you were born in Castlegar.
I was born in Castlegar,
Okay.
and we moved to Rossland in 1936. I had all my schooling up in Rossland, and then I moved back to Castlegar in 1952, and I skied. I was the only one in Castlegar that skied there, so I had to come and ski. I skied for till 1954. Then I met my wife, and we got married in 55. Well, then your priorities change. Then you start family, and I didn't come back to skiing till I think it was probably the late 69,
Okay,
70.
yeah.
And I've skied ever since.
Yeah. So you never lost the love for it.
No,
Even driving from Castlegar.
yeah.
Yeah.
But at that time, that was a long drive.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
had the old road that used to come in there, and I don't know how long it took them to come up here, where now it's, 35 minutes from the time I leave home till I'm in my locker.
Yeah.
So,
No, yeah, and when you guys finished school, there was Kaminko that really treated people well, and you were in Castlegar, so there was work around this area for you too, being there.
I started an apprenticeship, a machinist apprenticeship in 1948, January 48, and I retired in 1989,
Okay.
and I had just about 42 years service, and I'm still here.
Okay, well that's great. For us guys who are kind of newcomers, I've only been here 40 years, and I got really involved once I started. I like the history stuff, as you can see. I got interested in a fellow named Ulos Yelsnes, right? So when I started finding more out about him, he came through South Dakota. Actually, when he was, Norway was in bad shape. The Danes were actually ruling Norway, and all the Norwegian men had to leave to find work. It was so poor. They came through the States. Ulos Yelsnes was actually in South Dakota when Little Bighorn went off. He was in that area. So he would have been there when the Custer thing happened. He came up through here in 96, he got here, and his story, he made a bunch of money on the Sophie mine. When he made the $75,000, which was a lot of money back in 1896, he brought his buddies up to Top of Red, and he had what's known as the Tea Party. And he started showing people how to ski, and because he looked around at those snowshoes and went, this isn't going to happen. And I was lucky enough to go to Norway this summer to see where he lived, and saw the terrain behind his house in Norway. and and so it's very similar to Red. So we understand why when he came here, he just went, yeah, that looks good. I'm going to ski there. And he was the ski champion in Norway and had the world's jumping champion. He did a 92-foot jump when he was 16. So long story short for me, a lot of us believe because he put skiers on the top, and he started the Winter Carnival, and we all know that history, and he kept coming up for years as a judge. Some of the guys who are, 10 years old and so forth, they probably remember him. And so a lot of us feel that he was kind of the guy that got people to the top of Red, and all you guys were ski touring. So there was this inclination to go to the top of mountains instead of building a lift partway up. And so when the boys started building the Red Chair, they just knew they had to go to the top. So a lot of us believe that Olaus was a part of that reason why we like to ski to the mountain. And as you can see, we never lost that inclination. The next chair, we went to the top of Granite. And then we just built one last year to the top of Gray. It was just something about why, building, you go to a lot of ski hills and they go part way up and you ski side hill and so forth. Do you remember when you were growing up, was he even part of your thinking, Olaus, or was it, you had your other heroes, Helen Boucher's father, Norwegian skier.
Drignor.
Yes, yeah, could you tell?
He was a jumper.
Yeah.
He was a jumper.
And there was the McKay brothers from Nelson, Buddy Scorgie from Rossland.
That's right.
Mort Johnson.
Morton Johnson from Rossland. They were all jumpers.
You're right.
Harry Mann.
That's right.
Al
Richie's
Fisher.
Brother Harry. Yeah. And Richie always feels a little humble because he actually wasn't born in Rossland. His brothers were, but he was born in Vancouver. He came back though. So, do you remember watching those guys?
Yeah. I skied with Harry Mann.
Okay.
And I went to school with him.
Okay.
And John Buick. I skied with Ira, Steve McIsaac,
Yeah, and Davy Smith.
Dave Smith.
Yeah, it's great to hear these names.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you guys ski, like, how would it work out? I mean, we're sitting up here in the rafters, and this used to be the bunkhouse. And did you guys ever stay in the bunkhouse?
No.
Did you, coming from Castlegar?
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, I think we used to pay, 50 cents. Well, this is while I was still here. Like
Before you got married?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was 50 cents a night or something like that we used to pay. You'd get party and that in there, and you walked up and you walked home too. At that time, we didn't have vehicles.
So it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now we have a bus service, but what do you guys think about the job the new owners did on restoring this rafters?
They've done a lot of work.
I think Jack Mitchell would have been happy.
Yeah.
Those guys.
You see, at that time it was furnace on the bottom floor, eh? And then we had a big grate. Well, this is down in the lunchroom.
You're
Big
right.
grate on the floor where the
Heat
warm air
could-
came through, and you come in from skiing freezing, you would stand on the gate to thaw out, So
How long would it take you to get up the red chair with the old wooden tower? You guys remember? You could get off at
At Tower
could get
5 and Tower 10.
yeah, because I believe that when the weather guys would go across, they would go up to Tower 5, and then they'd do the same trip that you're talking about, Louie. They'd go across, and they'd have the Yodel Inn in case they needed to stop, and then they also had the cabin on Plumen. And that was stocked up so that if they couldn't make it like you, and one day they could stop at the Plumen cabin, right? So.
Well, Old Glory had a cabin on the ridge. Eh?
Yeah, there was the Plumen cabin.
Plumen and
they-
McMillan.
Yeah.
I forget what they
They
call
never
the
did.
ridge.
He died. Never did find McMillan.
Okay. I actually was lucky enough to stay in that cabin before it burnt down. Yeah.
Necessary ridge.
Unnecessary Ridge. That's
That's
right.
right.
Yeah. Same
Now-
cabin.
Now a little story about Rossland. My grandfather came here in 1893 as a miner. The miners here were all Irish or Italian. He was Italian. His name was John Vedder. My grandmother come over 3 years later, and they had my mother. My mother was born here 112 years ago. So basically we're the oldest family living in Rossland right now.
The other boys worked in the lead refinery?
One in the lead refinery,
Yeah.
one in the office, and one in the made canvas.
I remember the one in the refinery.
Yeah.
Ira, now, where did you work?
Ask me where I didn't work.
Where you didn't work, okay. So you're a Renaissance man.
Well, I worked all over Cominco.
Okay.
And Warfield, too.
And Warfield.
For 15 years, and then I was a repairman, or became a repairman, and then I had a chance of becoming a machinist. So now at that time I had 2 kids, and my wages would be cut away back to apprentice wages. And it just happened that the wife got a job in the Bank of Montreal. Oh,
Go ahead.
got a job in the Bank of Montreal, so I guess I was set.
You were
know,
set.
so.
Now, you came from Nova Scotia. What's
Originally, well, when I was a baby, I came
yes,
from
but
Nova
your
Scotia.
parents came.
Yep.
Yeah, and what was the draw then for them to up and leave Nova Scotia?
Well, I don't know. Work was tough to get a hold of, I guess, and so they came this way to find work. And my dad, he worked in the rectifier room and at Cominco, and in those days they didn't have it blanked off with a fence. You know.
Okay, yeah.
So you could go. I used to go and help meet his lunch.
Perfect. Perfect.
They made sure I didn't get too close to the rectifiers because they were electrical, sparks flying all the time often, or blue flame, and they were caged in too, so, but they made sure you stayed away from them.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it, and you guys, when you were kids going to school, winter was a big part of your life. Obviously, you're still here. But summer, what did you guys do in the summers?
Swim?
Swim?
Swim in the river?
In the river, Columbia.
If my mother knew where I swam, she'd take a stick to me. Because I have swam across that river. We walked up one day to on the Sunningdale side, just above the Stony Creek pump house.
Yeah.
Dove in, swam across the river, walked back, swam back. But
Wow. So you would have been downstream a bit.
upstream.
Upstream a bit, yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, when you started it, yeah.
When you start, you're
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
When
yeah.
you're across,
Yeah.
you're way down.
Exactly.
But now, if I had to swim 10 feet, I don't know whether I could do it or not.
Hey, well, we could throw you in there and see.
But everybody used to go over to Sandy Island. They called it Sandy Island then, not Gyro Park. And it was all sand and rock. A lot of people swam in the river.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I pulled an engineer out of the river. He was drowning. And I saw him the next day and told him that it was me that pulled him out of the river. So he was surprised, but I said, it's a damn good thing I did because you wouldn't be alive today.
Yeah.
All the girls used to go over there swimming and sitting on the rocks, getting suntans or sunburn.
It's always been a beautiful beach there.
And then when I started working, I used to go over to Sandy Island in the morning and sleep there, when I was on night shift. So then wake up, have a few swims and go home.
Did you end up swimming down there at all?
No,
What were you, what
I
Rossland
wasn't-
guys doing?
I wasn't a swimmer.
Okay, so what did you do, Louie?
I played baseball, and
You played pretty seriously.
later on I played professional baseball.
Now, can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, I played 2.5 years down in Medford, Oregon, and Hamilton, Ontario. But at that time, I played just minor hockey. It was Class D and C. But to compete with Americans, they'd play all year round. But we'd throw our arm out. I was a pretty good hitter. And in the wintertime, I played for Kimberley Dynamiters, Spokane Flyers, and the Trail Smoke Eaters.
Now, you had a pretty great career in hockey. You have some great recollections about the World Championships and that type of stuff?
Well, I played with the players that were in the 37 World Cup and the ones in the 61. I played with them, but I was too young on the first, and I got older with the but I played with a lot of those players.
So, how could a town like Trail win the World Championships? You must have met some of these guys. What was the deal?
What it was, it's during Depression years and the tough times. And Kamiko, there was only 6 major teams in the National Hockey League. And then there was 6 under that. Then there was the Trail Smokers Senior Hockey. We had the jobs. We could give the people jobs. We were drawing all the people here in Trail to play hockey here.
Right. So you could have a scout out there somewhere and bring in a hockey player.
We didn't have to scout them.
No. Okay.
They came.
They came. They knew
for the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How long did you play hockey?
For about 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you play in the old rink?
I played in the 3 rinks. Yeah. The old rink. Yeah.
The old rink in Rossland.
No,
Trail.
Trail.
Oh, the old Trail. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I played the old rink in Rossland.
Okay, there used to be quite a rivalry between Nelson and Trail and the 3 teams.
Yeah.
More so Nelson than Trail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What was that about?
Just usual competition.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was good, healthy. I think there was a couple professional hockey players that I remember reading that said they had their most fun game playing in Rossland. I'll have to look up those records, but it must have been full house when people with the spectators.
Yeah,
The last time Rossland had a Rossland Miners was about 1934, I think.
Okay.
But it was after that. It was the Trail Smoke Eaters, Nelson, Kimberly.
Yeah.
we used to play basketball against Rossland a lot.
Yeah.
What keeps you guys keep coming out here? You guys are out here more than anybody I know. My friends, my age, it's hard to get them up here for a day of skiing.
We just love skiing. That's all.
Okay.
Well, we started to host too.
Yeah. We pretty near started the skiing.
Yeah.
So.
No, the host program here. I was a host for a long time, and I still do, because I needed a snowboarder, a nice ski telemark and snowboard. So, and I've been guiding. So you guys are still taking people around?
No, we don't take the people around. They're just advisors.
Just advisors.
Oh, that's
Okay.
all.
So you can go up to a young person and say, "You can ruin your life like I did skiing." I'm just teasing, right?
Or,
But that's great. You guys are skiing. Does it keep you healthy? Keep
I
moving.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've we started the host program. I think it's at least 25 years ago, isn't it?
who was there? There was Van Iserloo and
No,
Fraser.
He wasn't with the original.
No.
No, there's about 12 of us to start.
There was you, Bill.
Mike Schultz.
Was Mike on that?
Yeah, he was one of the.
Yeah,
Original.
that's right. I remember that when Mike was hosting.
What's his name? He had that cabin across from the Rossland Club cabin at the end.
By the Stagger Inn?
Charge.
Okay.
The Rossland cabin, they could stay there?
It was a Rossland Club cabin, one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you could stay there overnight. And of course, they had their stove, or they probably had to take blankets, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, they could use it. And this one down here, the trail cabin, we would get the key down at the farm, and
that was near the Block Motel. That area, yeah.
Well, no,
that
near
was
the Block Motel was the Rossland cabin.
But they were pretty close, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We are.
Well,
Yeah,
that was the
The other
cabin
one's right
where
across
the.
from Mike Schultz.
Across from Mike
You
Schultz.
can see the foundation still.
Roughly.
Yeah.
And we'd get the key from the farm coming up the hill and stay in this one overnight.
Okay. Now, do you remember Ron Shearer and Ron Shearer's dad?
Yeah?
Can you tell us about that a bit?
You mean the store and that?
Well, he had the
downtown?
store, but wasn't he involved with, his dad was one of the guys that did ran the power or the lifts or something like that? Because
Can't
Ron's been a
remember.
real big
It's
part of
Shearer,
It's
Ron
so-
Shearer, he was more of a soccer. The
There
father
was-
was a soccer.
He's
Yeah.
been really helpful for us. I don't know if you've seen the stories he's done, the archive stories he's done on Rossland, on Ola's Geldness, the early skiing. We have them on our website in the museum. and he's written all the real history. He was a professor at UBC for years. So.
I think this must be a different shear than I know.
Okay.
Ron, I went to school
Ron.
with him,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
with Ron.
When he was a soccer player.
Yeah.
His father was a soccer player.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, were there a lot of girls skiing too? I mean, there must have been some great races.
Oh yeah, we had lots of women. Oh, they were hanging on
They're
the
hanging
wall.
up. Yeah, that's right. I think we're the only ski hill that's put two Rossland girls in the world or in the Olympics. So that's pretty amazing. I think we still have more skiers on the national over the years on the national team than any other ski resort has done.
But a lot of these women, I don't know them.
I know them all.
You know them all? Okay. Well, it looks like we're getting some folks out.
I was too interested in skiing. Wasn't
Yeah.
interested in girls.
So how many? So you would ski?
Ginger Edwards.
Yeah, and I'm gonna.
She's still away.
Yeah, that's
She's
right.
She was on the national team.
Yeah, I've got an interview with her now. How often would you ski when you were working? Do you just weekends or and there was
Just
night
on the
skiing?
Pretty well on
Weekends.
the weekend.
Okay, and there was night skiing too.
They had night
Yeah,
skiing.
Wednesday night.
And
I
Saturday
remember-
night.
Yeah, I remember that when they had the lights all the way to
They
the
had
top.
the lights up to 10, Tower 10.
Yeah,
That's to start with.
Yeah.
Then
Then they
put
went to
them
the
up.
top,
Then they
Yeah.
down the back trail.
I'm gonna stop.
And one time, this was never in here. And when they put the first lift in, there was a rope tow on the left-hand side.
Thank you.
I never did see it running.
Now you guys have been hosting and doing that kind of stuff around here for years. You've been active skiers, and you can tell by looking around more and more people are coming, and it's because of that kind of spirit. You guys, have always been hospitable. You meet skiers going up a chair, you show them where to ski. Even the days before you wore a host button, you were probably doing the same kind of thing. You see that still happening here?
Which the host.
Yeah, the Bill. You still see that with the young people. You see people are generous with their time and courteous to the.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, more. It was people that were just members here, that skied, and they weren't on the actual hosts, but they were still taking people out. Like you get Gary Westbury.
That's
you know,
right.
and he's one that got Bob and Nancy skiing with them, and they do a lot of touring.
Yeah, I did the same thing with Howard, the owner. I took him on his first ski tour here, and you guys have been doing that kind of thing. So the host program is alive and well.
When we started the snow hosting, we ended up paying for our season's pass.
Yeah, then they
wasn't
finally
till-
came around.
It wasn't until the last owners took over, not these.
Yeah, that would be Scat and those guys and Ollie.
They decided we should have a free pass.
Yeah.
So ever since then, we've pretty well skied free.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, of course, because of our age, we ski free anyhow.
Yeah,
So.
well, that's right. I do the same program. I was a host. I was doing a lot more of the riders here, and I got my free pass, and the hill was very gracious.
Yeah.
But this year I decided to buy my own pass because I can always go back to hosting, but I just had so many friends coming this year, I didn't want to be obliged to have to be here at certain times. So, no, the host program is pretty good. You guys can keep doing it for a few more years.
We hope.
Yeah. Well,
I rode up on the lift with there was a lady, she was skiing, so she joined, there was Tony, one of the fellas that skis with us, and this lady, she come with us, rode up on the lift, and so we asked her where she was from, and she said she was from Apex. I said, oh, we have a friend that he used to live here, and he skis at Apex, and so she says, who is it, do you know? I said, it's Dale Matthews.
oh, okay. I know Dale. Yeah.
Do ya?
Mm-hmm.
And he comes back here
He's got it.
a
Yeah.
couple of years. Well, she was on the ski patrol, so she knows him, and she was on the patrol, and they're really good friends.
He's the host.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Dale's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you meet people like that.
Well, all three of you guys have been a huge inspiration for us all, as well as people like Booty Griffiths, and there's always stories about him. And he was the first guy that dragged me to the cabins when I came here when I was 19. And all I can say is,
He was after us.
yeah, he was after you guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
believe it or not.
Yeah.
He came later.
Yeah, he came later.
Well,
Yeah. Well, he was a Revelstoke.
He had that
boy.
little store down in the main street.
He was a
little
rebel
shop,
He was a
ski
rebel
shop.
Yeah, that's right. But thank you very much. I'm going to stop right now, and maybe there'll be a few more stories. Jimmy Haight was a host here a few years up till what year was that?
He skied long before he ever become a host.
Yeah. He, well, I remember before they had any grooming or anything like that, and like the face was always moguled up, and he had his shovel. It was an aluminum shovel. He used to cut the tops off, and then when it snowed, you had to put in some time of packing.
He stopped us. We had to back down.
And you had to put in 15 or 20 minutes packing the hill on there, otherwise.
Yeah, everybody had their chance.
Everybody-
Now, do you remember the first World Cup? You guys was here.
Yes.
Was that exciting?
Yeah.
And it was so hard. The course was so hard. You could walk. You didn't need your skis.
It was that hard?
Yeah.
Now Nancy was here for
Nancy
that,
was
and then
here.
her
And there were
Jean-Claude Keeley.
John Keeley was here.
Yeah.
That was what, 68? No.
Yeah, I believe so.
67, 68, that's when we started this lift here.
It was 74. This one was 74.
No, not this.
The
this
granite chair.
The granite chair.
It's a granite chair.
16. This was 74, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The red
70.
chair.
Yeah, actually, it's
The red chair
73,
was
74. Yeah.
47, 48. The granite chair was 65.
Mhm.
Paradise 76. Silver load was 94. Mother load was 95. And that red was decommissioned. That two chair. Ollie,
Oh yeah, that's right. He
Okay.
started up when he shouldn't have.
that was decommissioned in 96.
96. Okay. What do you guys think of the split chair now? Does it work a lot better having two chairs?
Well, this
For
one,
beginners?
this one here, they say 4 people. And I
Shouldn't
just
be
say
that.
3.
Oh, okay.
I say 4 is too many.
Too many. Okay.
You know,
Well, for little people, but then you get mixed up.
you get a
with
couple of these
skis.
guys on, and another fairly heavy person. You know, that's enough.
Somebody might pop out.
Yeah, and then you get a couple of skiers and a couple of snowboarders, and it makes it tough, getting off.
You guys been on the gray chair?
No, it's not very good.
No,
The
it's-
gray chair's all right.
Yeah, I find it comfortable, but
Yeah.
now we've got 2 meters. I believe a lot of time we need 2 meters here to cover things. And now some of the runs are groomed up there. Instead of just the one they were able to groom what's called Unknown Soldier, the one that goes around the back like the old Long Squad Trail, right? It's a little wider. So it was pretty scary back there this year because it was all moguls. And you remember the old Long Squad Trail? Yeah, that was a terrible run, but...
Well, I've stayed away from it for now.
For now, wait till the
till
spring.
the spring.
No, you guys prefer spring skiing anyways. Yeah, it's coming, but the
that
last few
fun
years we've
snow.
had most of our snow in March. I think 2 years ago we had snow every day in March, right? So, and what, you guys notice a change in weather? That's another question I had for you over all the years you've been here. What's going on with the snowfall and
We don't get any corn snow anymore.
it comes later? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, after the lifts close.
You know, I think when I started, they had about 10 feet of snow up in that basin, eh? Now look at,
Yeah.
if you get 5 feet, you're lucky.
Yeah, the first few years out, when I was here in 73, 74, those years we had 4 meters on the hill at the end of the season. This year we got 180 now, but is the snow coming later or is it going to different places?
Well, I don't know. I think it's just a weather change.
Yeah, just a little bit of change.
More than anything.
Now, what are your plans for today? You guys going skiing?
No, I don't think so, because we start early and we quit early.
You quit early.
Yeah.
You going for a run, Louie?
In other words, we get the best
No,
of
not
it,
me.
then we take off.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll probably go and have a couple of runs, I guess.
No, okay. Me, I got to meet my friend visiting, so I'll be hosting too, like you guys do. But thank you so much for showing up here, and